Hello and welcome back. We are working with clay today. We're going to be making whistles. For our project, you will need a fork. Plastic fork is great. A pair of popsicle sticks, a little bit of water, and the clay that was given to you. This is sculpted clay. It is an air hardening sculpting material, and it does work with water, which is why you need just a little bit to dip your fingers in. So first things first, we're going to work with this quickly. So this is an air dry clay, so we're going to try to do this all in one go. If you need to leave this, or if you're like, oh, I have to go do something else, put it back into the bag, seal it nice and tight. You can even add a little bit of water onto your clay piece if you need to make sure it doesn't dry out. So as we're working with it, we probably want to add a little bit of water as we go. Just a tiny bit though, not a lot. Okay, we're gonna take this and put it into a log shape, like so. And then we're gonna separate it into three. So we're going to pull apart one piece, then another piece. So there are three pieces. I like to pass them back and forth in my hands to feel the size and make sure that it's not uneven, that they're all pretty much the same size. This one's a little bit bigger, this one's a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna take some of that and put it into this one. That's about the same. That's pretty close to the same. Okay, so we've got three different balls of clay. Okay, so we're gonna work with one and put the other two back into the baggie. Seal that closed. We're going to create a pinch pot with this first one. So we're going to kind of round it out in our hands. Try to smooth out any cracks. You can add a little bit of water. Just one little finger of water is plenty. You really don't need a lot. Just smooth it out. That's pretty good. To make a pinch pot, you're going to put this into the palm of your hand. Take your thumb, press into the middle like this. Then we're going to pinch around the top. So we're going to rotate and pinch. Pinch slowly. Try not to pinch too hard. You don't want to have to restart. You should only have to do this one time. So take your time and pinch, rotate and pinch. Make sure it's about the same thickness all the way. So start pinching near the bottom, and then you can pinch towards the top a little bit after you're done at the bottom. That way it's not too thick at the bottom. And we're going to create a little dome. I'm going to kind of push my fingers, both my thumbs, into that space. Create a little dome. So it should look kind of like this. Make sure you guys are seeing that okay. Yeah. All right. So we've got our little dome here, our little pinch pot. We're going to go ahead and set that aside. Going to take out our second ball of clay. And we're going to roll this one just like the first one, but this one we're going to press flatter. There's a crack there. I'm just going to take a tiny bit of water and add a little bit and kind of smooth it and rub it. So as you're working with this clay, don't be afraid to add a little bit of water if you see it's cracking. It does get kind of slimy when you add water. That's okay. That is normal. It has a kind of slimy feeling on your fingers though. All right, so I've mushed this mostly flat. It's a little disc here. There's some little spots I'm going to flatten a little bit more with my fingers. Now we're going to slip and score this onto our little dome, onto the base. So to slip and score, we're going to use our fork. We're just going to kind of rough up the clay edge where we're going to attach it. So right along here. I'm just kind of poking at it, kind of scraping at it, making it rough. Like that. I'm going to do the same thing on here. I'm going to just kind of rough up my clay where I'm going to put the dome. So it should fit on there okay. Yeah, looks pretty good. A little bit here. All right. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of water and just add it around the edge here. The same thing on here. just where I added those little dots. So that's our slip and score. I'm going to press and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You start feeling it stick. All right, I'm going to use the back of my fork and I'm just going to press down and cut off the edge. You could also use one of the popsicle sticks if you wanted. Either one will work. Just kind of pressing down and cutting off that edge. So I've got a little bit extra there. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it and put it back into my bag. Remember to put extra clay in the bag every time. That way it doesn't dry out. All right, I'm going to carefully get this off the table. You can use your fork if you need to. There we go, lifted it up. There's still kind of a seam there, so we're going to pull the bottom of the clay up and into that. We can add a little bit of water to help that stick a little bit more and be a little easier to smush. Try not to let your fingers press in and collapse your dome or collapse the base of your whistle. So we're creating a dome. Our whistle needs space inside of it to make the whistle noise. If you want to use your fork, you can do that to smooth. If you want a different tool. I like my fingers. Hit a little bit there. Kind of pinch the sides, pull it up. If you're having troubles with your fingers, you can use your fork or even the back of your nail. Sometimes I like to use my nails to do things. Just the back. But this half needs a fork to smooth. Okay. So don't let it flatten. Make sure that you have it completely sealed. If you have any gaps, it will release air and not whistle correctly. So just make sure it's sealed. That little piece of extra clay we can use to create a mouthpiece. So I'm going to take a little cube of that, put the extra back in here, seal that up. So you can see it's not a lot of clay, it's just some. You don't need it to be huge, but it does need to kind of make a little rectangle shape. And you should be able to put your popsicle stick through it because we're going to be doing that in just a moment. I'm smoothing this out. Like so. Then we're going to take the popsicle stick, just one of them, and press it through the center of our little rectangle square buddy. I'm going to push it to where it's more on the stick like that. Reshape it a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to slip and score on this piece as well as where we're going to attach it onto our dome base. So the goal is for this to sit along the bottom, like just right along with the bottom edge here. So I'm going to use my fork, going to score, scratch up the clay, score where I'm going to attach it on the mouthpiece as well so that they connect really well. If you don't slip and score things together, it's much more likely to fall apart. So it's always good to slip and score. Gonna add some water for the slip. And then we're going to very carefully hold the dome. Insert the popsicle sticks right above the bottom piece of clay there. And then you should have it where it rests right alongside. So this little piece of clay wants to just attach right there on the side. Now I'm going to take my time and really smooth this. If the mouthpiece is not correctly really smoothed on there, it will cause air gaps and the whistle won't work very well. So we really want to smooth that on there, make sure the connection is really well done. Like this. A little bit of water. Really smooth it on there. All right, now that it's smoothed on there, I'm just gonna make sure it's really rubbed on. I'm gonna leave the popsicle stick in there. I'm gonna take the other popsicle stick and lay it on top. We're going to go parallel to it and then scratch on either side to kind of mark. We're gonna make this into the guidelines for where the hole goes so the whistle works. So there's that. That was when it was parallel, like this. Now we're gonna go perpendicular, and it needs to be on top of the dome. So make sure it's back off of your mouthpiece and onto the dome. Go perpendicular to the piece coming out on top there. Mark on either side. And we don't need the rest of these marks. We just need the little square. So there's a square. Keep your popsicle stick inserted and use the second one to cut out, and you can hold on to the popsicle stick so it's like a base for you to cut out on. Cut out this piece of clay. Pull that out of there. Get out of there. We don't want you in there right now. We're trying to make a little hole. All right, so I have a little hole started. I'm gonna clean it up, kind of press the clay to the sides. You can use a little bit of water to just kind of smooth it if there's any rough areas. This hole is very important. It's very close to the mouthpiece, but also in the dome. So it's close to the mouthpiece, but it's where the dome is. I'm gonna smooth that, that looks rough. There we go. All right, most important part to make this whistle work correctly, for it to actually blow and sound like a whistle, we have to bevel. So a bevel does not go straight like this. It doesn't go horizontal like this. It goes diagonal. So on the back part away from the mouthpiece, this little piece of clay, we need that to be slanted slightly. Really rub it back and forth. Make sure it's super clean and super smooth. There's some little pieces in there that I need to move, so I'm gonna use the back of my fork. Make sure that's super clean. If there's any little pieces of clay in there that aren't in place, they can stop it from whistling correctly. I'm gonna smooth the edges. Just kind of rub it. Take your time, make sure that bevel is really nice. Make sure there's no little pieces of clay out in the way. Okay, once you have it cleaned up pretty well and you have that bevel, wiggle that a little bit more. Make sure that's nice. You can take out your little popsicle stick, check it again. If there's anything in the way, take the time to move it. And you should be able to use it. Mine doesn't want to whistle yet. That's okay. Sometimes your clay is soft. If you need to work with the bevel again, make sure that you reinsert this popsicle stick. If you don't, it can unalign the hole for your mouthpiece and it can make it where it won't work at all. Take the time to really clean it up well. Wiggle that popsicle stick inside there. Make sure the bevel is nice. I'm gonna pull my popsicle stick up a little bit. After you've worked with your clay piece and you get it to whistle, then you are ready to go adding your animal parts on. So we have this extra clay here, and you're gonna be slipping and scoring everything on pretty well. So that means we're gonna scratch everything up. So let's say I want to make, I think I'm gonna make a loaf kitty. So my head will be over here. And then I'll add ears onto this, and I can just kind of pinch and pull my face out of this. So I can just kind of pinch it. So if you do a pinch and pull method, it has less scoring, less attachment to do, which is kind of nice. Or you can just kind of piece it together, slipping and scoring as you go. Either way will do. Get my little ears going, got my little snout, like that. Perk my ears up a little bit more because I like them to look more alert. And then I can slip and score this head onto the body. I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. Be careful not to squish your little mouthpiece or the hole, because if you do, you could lose that whistle. Like the ability to whistle. Again, if this doesn't whistle in the end, that's okay. We'll do our best with it, and then if something happens and it doesn't whistle at the end, that's okay. I'm gonna use just my fork for this. You can use the popsicle sticks to smooth if you want, but I've scored it, which means I scratch it up. And then I added some water, which was my slip, and now I'm just smoothing it on. And this will guarantee the connection, and it will keep it together. It is still really important that you smooth all the way around. So a loaf kitty, like I was talking about earlier, that's where the kitty tucks up its paws. It looks like a little loaf of bread or something. I think it's really cute when cats do that. So I'm gonna do my whistle like that. I'm gonna wiggle that on there. Now as you're attaching pieces, be careful not to collapse your dome. It should still be pretty soft, so just be careful not to smush your dome. You don't want to smash something on there. All right, and then I can add little paws. And then we're going to score, which is to scratch up your clay. Both of the places it's going to connect. Add a little bit of water. Wiggle that together. You can kind of feel it start sticking, and then smooth it on. You can use your fingers to smooth if it's something like this. Around the neck, I couldn't really get my finger there, so it's good to use a tool and smooth around that way. On here, I'm just going to use a tool and smooth it. So there's the start to my cat. I would add all of my legs, and then I would add like a tail around the mouthpiece, or you could make the mouthpiece into the head, or you could create your piece on top of it. So it really depends on how you want to make this into an animal. It's up to you. But now you are going to have a whistle animal. Pretty exciting. Have fun, guys. Enjoy it. Take pictures from the front after it's done and painted, from the back, from the side, and the side. So after you're done with this and it air dries for a day or two, paint it with acrylic paint, and then you can take those 4 photos, front, back, side, and side, and send those to me. All right, have a great day, guys. We'll see you later.